stations. Finally tonight, 4 members of Congress's 111th freshman class. And to Gwen Eiffel.
There are 35 Democrats and 22 Republicans in this year's freshman class. Before coming to Washington, they were mayors, entrepreneurs, engineers, philanthropists, and teachers. And once they arrived, they were immediately faced with a recession, an increasingly unpopular war, and a high-decibel health care debate. How are they doing? We've invited 4 freshmen to join us here tonight. 2nd District, which includes the cities of Boulder and Vail. The founder of 2 charter schools, he has also launched several successful small business. Democrat Donna Edwards represents Maryland's 4th, which includes Prince George's County and suburban Washington. She won her seat on her second try by defeating a 16-year incumbent. Republican Cynthia Lummis is Wyoming's loner of the House, representing the nation's least populous congressional district. She previously served as state treasurer and in the state house. Republican Aaron Schock represents the 18th District of Illinois, which includes Peoria. At 28 years old, he is the youngest member of the Congress. Before coming to Washington, he served in the State House and as a school board president. Welcome to you all.
Thank you.
Cynthia Lummis, I want to start and ask you the question I'm going to ask everybody briefly. What's been your biggest surprise so far?
Well, I've been surprised at Congress is. I came from a state where, even though it's dominated by Republicans, there seems to be a very good bipartisan relationship in the Wyoming legislature where I served. And, for example, we have more even numbers on our committees. Every bill is debated. Every bill gets a hearing in committees. We have 3 readings on every bill, so you have an opportunity to read the bills. There's no incidents where a 300-page amendment is dropped on you at 3 a.m. and you're voting on it the same day. So the partisan aspects of it have been surprising to me.
Donna Edwards, how about you?
Well, I think, I share some of what Cynthia has said. I think it's been true that while the policies and the politics are partisan, I've been able to develop, I think, really good relationships and friendships actually on the other side of the aisle. And I think that a little bit by surprise, because it wasn't what I expected just watching on television. And so it's been a learning experience every day.
Aaron Schock, I was surprised to hear that you were actually. What has surprised you?
Well, I share the same sentiments. I come from the president's home state. It's considered a blue state. I served in a very Democratic House and Senate in Illinois, and with a Democratic governor, and despite that was able to pass legislation. We worked in a for the most part, congenial fashion. And I've been struck by the first 9 months and how very partisan the House has operated in terms of really the minority's ability to offer thoughtful amendments and really get a hearing on the important pieces of legislation that have moved this year. The stimulus bill, cap and trade, now the health care debate. We really haven't been as included as much as I would like to have been in that discussion. I think it's to the detriment of the American people, all of whom we represent, but also to the quality of the legislation that comes out. And I'm hoping that as we move forward on the health care debate specifically, when it seems now that there's not a consensus majority wants to do on health care, that to be Republicans and Democrats on the health care bill, and hopefully will be a part of this important piece of legislation.
What about that, Jared Polis?
I found it to be bipartisan. Certainly in the bills that I've been working on, have co-sponsors from across the aisle. Sometimes I even have more Republicans and Democrats, and I think when people are working bills to get co-sponsors, they value both important pieces of legislation of both. But I've been very pleasantly surprised with is how the more senior members of the House, the committee chairs, the ranking members, take new members very seriously. And it's never been an issue. And coming into it, you hear things about, they don't give you the time of day till you've been there, 6 years, or you're not going to be able to talk to the speaker or to the minority leader. But they are, at least in my experience, extremely open and accessible, both on the floor and formally and informally through meetings.
I wonder if when you're in the majority, it feels more bipartisan than when you're in the minority. Is that possible?
I think it is possible. I think the U.S. House is more of a winner-take-all arrangement where the party and the majority things. and that was not something with which I was accustomed.
That said, Donna Edwards, I'll start with you. What are the priorities that you brought to Congress that you thought, this is what I'm going there to do, that you've been able to do, and what has gotten lost in all of this activity?
Well, I feel like I've been in a really great position. I mean, when I campaigned on bringing health care to the American people, on developing an energy policy for the 21st century, on creating jobs, and certainly in my congressional district and around the country. And although, you know, clearly this president and this year we've been faced with a tremendous economic crisis, I think I've been able to get a word in edgewise on these debates, and that's been really important to me, and it's been important to the constituents of the 4th District. So, you know, it feels really good right about now.
And it seems like getting a word in edgewise is the key for legislators, yet many of you came here talking about things like immigration, you campaigned on gay rights, you campaigned on government spending, and yet it seems like all the time is being spent on the economy and health care. What about that, Aaron Shaw?
Well, I think that's on the mind of the voters. When I go back to my district in central Illinois and I ask voters, what do you care about? It's the economy. And people are concerned about if they have one. They're concerned about getting one if they don't. They're concerned about their 401k statements coming back in half. And they're looking to the Congress and to our leaders and asking, what are you doing to help incentivize entrepreneurs, to help incentivize risk-taking and investment so that we create more jobs and we grow our economy here in our country. And those are issues that I came to Congress to work on. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and I truly believe, you know, knowing that 60% of Americans get their paycheck from a small business, if we want to stimulate the economy, if we want to put people back to work, we've got to target growing our economy.
Jared Polis, you were a businessman when you were in Colorado. In fact, you went home during the break, August break, and what did you call them, street corner?
Congress on your 23 different town halls, Congress on your corners. Overwhelmingly, people turned out to discuss health care. That's really what was in the news. But, you know, there's a lot of work that Congress is doing that doesn't necessarily get those same front-page headlines. We passed a wonderful bill called SAFRA, which increases aid for students to go to community college or college, provided some early childhood education funding for kids in preschool and kindergarten and earlier to prevent those learning gaps from occurring before they enter school. So there's a lot going on. You know, the media will always focus on the most and biggest controversial elements. Certainly that's been health care for the last few months and probably will continue to be. And hopefully we'll be able to get that done. That was sort of a promise that many of us who were running made to the American people. We wanted to deliver on health care reform, make it more affordable, help cover the uninsured. And progress is slow, but I'm confident that we'll get there by the end of the year.
Cynthia Lummis, is it media focus, or are people as divided as it looks like when we watch footage of these town hall meetings and debates about the key issues like Afghanistan and health care?
In Wyoming, I have found that people are very strongly opposed to a government option or government-run health care. There's great concern that there will be increased bureaucracies, that the costs will not drop, and that we will actually have bureaucracies between ourselves and our physicians. I've also heard physicians say that if they're reimbursed at what are now Medicare rates, a lot of them that are my age, in their 50s, will just retire instead of accept below-cost compensation for what they do. So I think in a state like Wyoming, where rural health care is a big issue because of the availability of physicians, making sure that physicians are adequately compensated is a huge issue.
But Donna Edwards, you heard different things in a largely urban district than Cynthia Lummis heard in a largely rural district.
Well, I did, and I mean, it proves exactly